Assalamu alaikum students. This is your instructor Muhammad Umar Khattak for the subject project management. This is our 15th lecture, chapter number 3. And today the topic of our discussion is selecting the project manager, and we will be discussing the summary of the whole chapter. Selecting the project manager. Selection of the project manager is one of the 2 or 3 most important decisions concerning the project. The following is a list of some of the most popular attributes, skills, qualities that have been sought when selecting project managers. A strong technical background, a hard-nosed manager, a mature individual, someone who is currently available, someone on good terms with senior executives, a person who can keep the project team happy, one who has worked in several different departments, a person who can walk or part the waters. The reasons for choosing a project manager are not so much wrong as they are not right. They miss the key criterion. Above all, the best project manager is the one who can get the job done. As any senior manager knows, hard workers are easy to find. What is rare is the individual whose focus is on the completion of a difficult job. A closer. Of all characteristics desirable is a PM in a project manager. This drive to complete the task is the most important. The project manager needs 2 kinds of credibility. First is technical credibility. The PM must be perceived by the client, senior executives, the functional departments, and the project team as possessing sufficient technical knowledge to direct the project. A project manager with reasonable technical competence seems to be associated with project success and is seen by a project team member to be a positive leadership characteristic. We remind the viewer that technical credibility includes technical knowledge in such fields as accounting, law, psychology, anthropology, religion, history, playwriting, Greek, and a host of other sciences. The project manager does not need to have a high level of expertise, no more than any individual team members, or all of them, or be able to stand toe to toe and intellectually slug it out with experts in the various fundamental functional areas. Quite simply, the project manager has to have a reasonable understanding of the base technologies on which the project rests, must be able to explain project technology to senior management, and must be able to interpret the technical needs and wants of the clients and senior management to the project team. Similarly, project manager must be able to hear the problem of the project team and understand them sufficiently to address them, possibly by communicating them to the upper management. Second, the project manager must be administratively credible. The project manager has several key administrative responsibilities that must be performed with apparently effortless skill. One of these responsibilities is to the client and senior management to keep the project on schedule and within cost, and to make sure that the project reports are accurate and timely. This can place the project manager in an ethically awkward situation sometimes. Another responsibility is to the project team to make sure that material, equipment, and labor are available when and where needed. Still, another responsibility is to represent the interest of all parties to the project team, management, functional departments, and the client to one another. The project manager is truly the person in the middle. Finally, the project manager is responsible for making the tough trade off decisions for the project and must be perceived as a person who has mature judgment and a courage to do so consistently. Sensitivity. In addition to a good working set of political antennas, the project manager needs to sense interpersonal conflicts on the project team or between team members and outsiders. Successful project managers are not conflict avoiders, quite the opposite. They sense the conflict early, they confront and deal with it before the conflict escalates into interdepartmental and intradepartmental warfare. As with any group of humans, rivalries, jealousies, friendships, and hostilities are sure to exist. The project manager must persuade people to cooperate irrespective of personal feelings, to set aside personal likes and dislikes, and to focus on achieving project goals. Finally, the project manager needs a sensitive set of technical sensor. It is common, unfortunately, for otherwise competent and honest team members to try to hide their failures. Individuals who cannot work under stress would be well advised to avoid project organizations. Remember that we staffed the team with people who are task oriented. Leadership, ethics, and management style. Another prerequisite for selecting the project manager. Leadership has been defined as interpersonal influence exercised in situations and directed through the communication process towards the attainment of a specified goal or goals. To all the skills and attributes we have mentioned, add enthusiasm, optimism, energy, tenacity, courage, and personal maturity. It is difficult to explain leadership. We tend to recognize it after the fact rather than before. The project manager should capitalize on people's strength, cover their weaknesses, know when to take over and when to give the team its head, know when to punish and when to reward, know when to communicate and when to remain silent. Above all, the project manager should know how to get others to share commitment to the project. In a word, the project manager must be a leader. Another aspect of leadership that is important in project manager is a strong sense of ethics. There's a considerable common attention to the topic in the news medias these days, both good and bad. For instance, protection payment made to terrorists by firms raise serious ethical issues, so, as does the tobacco industry long-standing public denial of the effects of smoking on human health. Some ethical missteps that are relatively common in businesses are wired bids and contracts, the winner has been predetermined. Usually, this is what happens when we have a bidder who is wired. Buy in, bidding low with the intent of cutting corners or forcing the subsequent contract changes. Kickbacks, covering for team members, group cohesiveness, taking shortcuts to meet deadlines or budgets, using marginal substandard materials, compromising on safety, violating standards, consultant, auditors, their loyalties to the employer or to the client or to the public. While a great deal has been written about the leadership attributes required or desirable in a project manager, comparatively little has been written about the proper management style for a project manager. It has generally been assumed, and we are guilty as most other writers, that whatever style is good for general managers is also good for project managers. A somewhat informal brand of participative management is generally preferred. Of course, each profession, information technology, construction, medicine, research, and development in any area of science and infinitum that uses project management is quite certain that its problems are significantly different and more difficult. They argue, therefore, that they require less managerial control. Management style should be adopted to certain differences in the type of project. The dimensions are the level of technological uncertainty and level of system complexity. As the uncertainty increases from low tech to medium tech to high tech to very high tech, the appropriate management style progresses from firm, rigid, and formal to moderately firm to moderately flexible to highly flexible. As the system complexity increases from assembly to system to array, the style progresses from in house informal to formal main subcontractor relationship to remote and highly formal. Ability to handle stress. There are numerous factors in life that cause stress, and project managers are subject to them as other humans. There do, however, appear to be four major causes of stress often associated with the management of projects. First, some project managers never develop a reasonably consistent set of procedures and techniques with which to manage their work. Ability to handle stress. Second, many simply have too much on their plates. Third, some have a high need to achieve that is consistently frustrating. Fourth, the parent organization is in the throes of major change. Researchers points out that stress results when the demands made on the individual are greater than the person's ability to cope with them, particularly when the person has a high need for achievement. It is axiomatic that senior managers give the toughest projects to their best project managers. It is the toughest projects that are most apt to be beset with unsolvable problems. The care for such stress is obvious, except to senior managers who continue the practice. Finally, in the era of restructuring and downsizing, stress from worry about one's future is a common condition in modern organizations. Dealing with and reducing these stresses are, as well as the stress resulting from everyday life, is beyond the scope of this book or this chapter or this subject. Summary of the chapter. The project manager has responsibility to the parent organization, the project itself, and the project team. The unique demands on project manager concerns seven areas: acquiring adequate physical resources, acquiring and motivating personnel, dealing with obstacles, making goal trade offs, maintaining a balanced outlook in the team, communicating with all the parties, and negotiating. The most common characteristics of effective project team members are high quality technical skills, political sensitivity, strong problem orientation, and high self esteem. To handle the variety of project demands effectively, the project manager must understand the basic goals of the project, have the support of the top management, build and maintain a solid information network, and remain flexible about as many projects aspect as possible. The best person to select project manager is the one who will get the job done. Valuable skills for the project manager are technical and administrative credibility, political sensitivity, and an ability to get others to commit to the project, a skill otherwise known as leadership. Some important points concerning the impact of culture on project management are: cultural elements refer to the way of life for any group of people and include technology, institutions, language, and art. The project environment includes economic, political, legal, and socio-technical aspects. Examples of problematic cultural issues include the group's perception of time and the manner of staffing projects. Language is a particularly critical aspect of culture for the project. The project management roles in organization and responsibilities to both the organization and the project team are discussed first. Common project management career paths are also described and discussed. Next, the unique demands typically placed on project managers are identified and the task of selecting the project manager is addressed. Last, the issue of culture and its effect on project communication and success is part of the discussion. Now, two factors crucial to the success of the projects are its support by the top management and the existence of a problem orientation rather than discipline orientation within the team members. Compared to functional managers, a project manager is a generalist rather than a specialist, a synthesizer rather than an analyst, and a facilitator rather than a supervisor.